So in today's video, I'm going to discuss about how to get admission and financial aid to a US university for a master's degree program. So here I will assume that you have a 4-year bachelor's degree. Now if you have a 3-year bachelor's degree which is sometime given in the Commonwealth, such as a BSc or BA or a BCom, then there are two strategies which you can use. The first strategy is that you could take a master's degree, an MSc or a MA or a MCom degree from this Commonwealth country and then apply for a master's program or directly for a PhD program. Or you could try to transfer to the US university. So there is a process by which you can transfer to a BS program, and a lot of your courses will get transferred to this university, and then you can basically complete the remaining courses and get a BS program. So this is a flexibility which is given by many US universities which you can use. So now going back to the basic problem, I assume that you have a 4-year BS degree and then you are trying to get a master's degree from the United States. So like I mentioned in a video before, US universities look at you from 3 dimensions. So the first dimension is standardized tests. And in this case, GRE is the most important test. So basically in GRE, you can get a maximum of 340, out of which 170 is for verbal and 170 for quant. And typically a score of over 325 is considered to be a superb score. Now there is also a writing section in the GRE, and a score of over 4.5 is considered very good for the writing section. Now if you are a non-native speaker of the English language, then you may have to give a test known as TOEFL. And in TOEFL, 120 is the maximum points you can get, and a score of more than 110 would be a superb score. Now we come to the second dimension, and that's your CGPA, which reflects your performance in your university. So basically a CGPA of 4 is considered to be the highest score, and you can get a score of more than 3 out of 4, and that would be considered to be a satisfactory score. If you have a score of 3.5 out of 4 or more, that would be considered a very good CGPA. But in the recent past, what has happened is there has been a proliferation of the A+ grade system, and so many people have started getting CGPAs which are greater than 4. And so you see in some of the universities the requirements have gone up to more than 4.0 GPA, for example in the California universities and so on. So again, you have to factor in what's the highest possible GPA you can get, and this is something you can control by putting in a lot of hard work when you are doing your UG program. Now the second thing to keep in mind is that most committees will look at the grades you have got in your particular field which you are doing the degree in. For example, if you are doing a degree in computer science, then it's more important to get A grades in computer science, and that may excuse some of the C grades you may have got in courses in the first year, such as in biology, chemistry, arts, or literature. Now, beside this coursework, the third dimension at which the university looks at you are through the things which people say about you. So in this, there are the letters of recommendation, which is the perception of the professors or people who know you, and there is the statement of purpose, which is your own self-perception of yourself. So if you look at the letters of recommendations, basically you should try to get letters of recommendation from the professors in your institute or department, and it's good to get one letter from your final year or capstone project supervisor, because this person knows you much more closely than the people with whom you have taken different courses. Secondly, try to get recommendations from professors in whose courses you have done very well. For example, you may have got A grades, or you may have done a very good project with them and they remember you. So it's a good thing to venerate a few of your professors when you are studying in the UG program, so that you can approach them for letters of recommendation later during your program. Now, the part where you get to show your own case is the statement of purpose, and the statement of purpose will basically outline your growth as a student and as a professional during your bachelor degree years. So this also gives you a space where you can put forth your vision for the future in terms of your long-term plans, how you plan to use the university or the department to further propagate your research or scientific vision, and also how the facilities, the equipment, the research centers and the professors of the particular department at the US university will help you to fructify your goals in life. So again, it's important to make the statement of purpose a compendious document, and it should not be focused on a whole variety of things or try to give a desultory picture of your field. So it should be very focused. Focus is one of the keywords which is required in the statement of purpose. Now, what happens if you are not good at some of these different dimensions? So maybe you didn't score so well in your exam, maybe you don't have a good relationships with the professors and your letters of recommendations are not good, or maybe you go to a school where the professors are not used to giving letters of recommendation, or maybe your grades in school were not so good. So there are some ways to get past these problems. So I'll now discuss some of these secrets which you can use. And I have experience in this in the past because some students have used it and they have got placement in the United States. So one of the strategies is to try to go during the summer and work at a different research university or in a top research program. So this may not only be in your home country, but it could be in a different country. And there are a lot of ways by which you can do these study programs which are not in your own country. So what happens in this case is you get a letter of recommendation from a different expert in the field who may be much more renowned than the people in your own university. And secondly, you may be able to join a research group for a summer period of 3 months, and during this period write a conference paper or work with some researchers in that lab and write a journal paper with them. So if you are able to do that, this greatly strengthens your case, and you can in fact contact some professors personally and send your draft journal paper or conference paper to them. Now, you should not be diffident about contacting professors if you have a good case, because there are only 3 possibilities which can happen. The first is the professor will not respond, which is okay. The second is the professor will respond positively, which is very good for you. And the third is that the professor will probably not like your having sent that mail to him, in which case you know he is probably a misanthrope and you do not want to work with this person. Now, one more mistake people do is they go for universities on the 2 coasts of the United States. So basically, if you look at the east coast and west coast of the United States, these are highly populated regions. And though there are a lot of universities in these regions, there are also a lot of students who apply, and therefore the competition is fierce. And one of the strategies you can use is you apply to the middle part of the United States. That is, there are a lot of states such as Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Utah, Kentucky, and so on, where there are good universities, but the number of applications they receive may be very less. And there may be room for students who can help in teaching or research, and therefore there may be financial aid possibilities in these universities which may not be there in the universities in California or in the Northeast. Now, one more possibility is if you are coming from a tier 2 or a tier 3 university and you do not have a very good track record in terms of students going from your university to the United States, and you do not have professors who are very well known or know how to write good letters of recommendation, then you need to concentrate a lot on the GRE. So basically GRE acts as a kind of leveler for all the people, and they may be from different universities, but as long as your GRE score is good, that shows that you have very good verbal and quantitative capability and you could do very well in the US university. The second thing you can do, and this is especially true if your grades are not good in some of your subject fields, is you can go for the GRE subject tests. So beside the GRE general test with which most people are familiar, there are also the GRE subject tests. For example, there are GRE subject tests in like biology, chemistry, math, physics, psychology, literature. And depending on your field, you can choose a test nearest to you and then give this test. So several years ago, there used to be a GRE computer science test, but that has been withdrawn. But if you are from the computer science or engineering field, then the mathematics subject test could be a great way to showcase your skills. Or if you are in engineering, then you could probably give the physics and math subject tests. And if you are in the humanities or the social sciences and arts, then you could consider giving the psychology or the literature subject tests. Now, though the university may not explicitly say that it wants subject tests for GRE, if you have very good scores and you send them, that will certainly be considered to be a positive factor. One more great thing is that by studying for the GRE as well as the GRE subject test, you greatly fill in any gaps which you may have in your formal degree program. So some people question what is the need for all the difficult words in the GRE general tests. But the point is that there are many words in GRE, for example, procrastination, serendipity, meticulous, which are actually widely used. And if you know these words, then you can think about these concepts in a clear manner. So it's very rarely that you are given words like tergiversate or something like that. So most of the words which come in GRE are words which are quite routinely used in the field. So these are some of the thoughts I came up with about how to increase your chances of getting into a master's degree program in the United States. And these are based on my personal experience as well as experience with many students whom I have supervised. And I hope you benefited from this video. And please stay tuned to my channel for further videos on topics surrounding research and how to do research and become a better researcher. Thank you very much.